Another weekend, another jam, and another attempt at making a horror game. Mini Jam 160 with the theme of light and the limitation of speed is key, as well as Mini Jam 31 with the theme of one ability and the special object of card. We're both going on at the same time, and I decided, you know what, I can make a game that fits both of these criteria. I was just going to go ahead and start putting in a background into the game and decided that I didn't really like my color palette anymore, and so I was going to choose a new one. Found this on low spec and I just thought it was really cool. I then spent a while trying to figure out how to get shadows to work until eventually just opening up a Xanderwood tutorial and watching that. I didn't really have much of an idea initially. I figured there would be this thing in the middle of the room that you had to protect with light, but I wasn't a huge fan of the concept and eventually did some retooling.
I'll retool you!
I also had to work all weekend and that really put a damper on things. So while I was working, I was coming up with some ideas for what the game should be, like story and whatnot. That's when I came up with what I thought was a really cool concept. You were a dude that was in this house. You'd been playing with a Ouija board or something, and you released a bunch of demons. To fight off many of the enemies, you would need to use light, which incorporates the Mini Jam theme of light. And then as far as Jam Gam went, you had one ability and card, so I figured you would pick up tarot cards throughout. First one would give you the ability to dash, and then the other ones would just kind of build on that. And some of the enemies would only be able to kill by using the dash. Got him into the game, got the light working, did a little sine wave on it, and added buttons and whatnot to the screen. At this point, I think it's super cool, and I'm feeling very confident about it. I added a floor, which I thought looked pretty solid, and a window where you can go to power up your lamp, which I don't have in at the moment, but eventually that's what it does. I was so confident in how fun this game was to play that I did something I rarely ever do and booted up my computer. I did this mainly to get the controls going for anyone using a computer because I wanted more than just me to play it. But I did also use this opportunity to set up a camera just because the computer is a way more convenient way to use Construct. I got the camera looking pretty solid and then began work on an enemy that would actually come towards the light, which ended up being way more a process than I intended it to be. I guess I should probably tell y'all like what the idea was. So there would be 3 levels, each with 3 rooms, all representing the 9 circles of hell according to Dante's Inferno. And the last room of each level would have a boss that you had to beat. And here was a bit of concept art for that idea. Each boss was also going to drop a tarot card. Only 2 ended up making it into the game, the Fool and the Magician. However, I also planned on putting in the Sun. Do end up getting this fella to work. He does follow the light, but then when you turn it off, he kind of freaks out. Also, at this point, I still have a day left on both jams, so I'm feeling pretty solid about it. And so I get to work pretty heavily on the creatures. This fella here, I call him the Lust Monster. He was only supposed to show up in the first room, but I end up using him quite a bit more. I tested him out in game, and when he appears, he actually scares the crap out of me, because I have his movements at like random before he sees the light, and so I just had no idea. Oh god, there he is. Then I put in walking sounds for the player and the Lust Monster, and it's horrifying. Oh yeah, I guess I put his death sound in too. For the player's walking sound, I just kind of walked around my house. Have very creaky floors. So things were moving right along, and I was still riding the high of doing real good in that tri-jam last week, when, much like my boy Icarus, I came crashing back to reality when I noticed I had a paper due the next day. After getting the paper done, I still had 5 hours left on the mini jam, but I was out of time for the jam gam. However, I also still had to go to work, so I rushed through getting things implemented. The dash is now available. You have health, and the light will actually kill this guy. Well, it killed him last time, I guess, but now he can kill you. I added some text in to let you know that the bosses can't be harmed by light. You have to dash to kill them. And I put it right next to the dash pickup, so I hope that translated. I kept fooling with the boss, and I had a lot of problems with this guy. I eventually got him to a pretty presentable state. He does that glowing thing before he attacks to let you know he's about to attack, and he deals damage. I gave him like that sign function that the light has to make him like get bigger and smaller, which I thought was going to be cooler than it is. I made it where the dash now actually hurts him. He starts flashing to let you know he's hurt. And then I gave him like this weird death animation, and a door opens up, which will take you to the next level. I got the next level in, which ends up just kind of being like a reskinning of the first level. I just moved some of the walls and added breakable walls. And then I got the upgrade for the dash, which now shoots out these little magic balls. They don't do anything at this point, but they are going to break down that wall eventually. I also put time in. Minijam's limitation was speed is key. And so I figured you had to get out before midnight or else you would get a bad ending. Due to the time constraints, the bad ending was less cool than my original plan for it. I also added in a menu with a song that I had made while I was writing my paper. I added in a little voice acting to let you know you had to get out by midnight.
If you continue to dwell when the clock strikes 12, I'll drag your pretty little soul to hell.
And I added in the final boss of Heresy. Again, the final boss is supposed to be treachery, but that didn't end up happening. And for him, I copied the exact same code that I used from Gluttony, and then also just added in that he shoots magic balls everywhere. And it's not super interesting to beat the game like with a good ending, so I wait around until midnight to get the bad ending because it's cooler. And I learned something pretty important through this jam, and that I don't really like horror games. I've been planning this horror game for like a year, and all my ideas just end up being like Silent Hill but worse. So I do have an idea for Ghost Town that's not horror, and I'm actually pretty excited to get started on it. So if you're interested in that, stick around, and bye.